It's Paxton. The date is December 6th, and I am going to record myself in just a second doing the maximum vertical jump test that we also did in our lab report. But quickly, I just want to explain the difference between the two types of jumps I'm going to do before I demonstrate them, because I think it's easier to explain and then show you the main points as I'm jumping than try to explain everything right there at the wall. So first off, I want to explain the first type of jump that I'm going to do, and that is going to be a jump that does not utilize the stretch shortening cycle. So basically what's going to happen is that when it comes time to jump, I'm going to squat down and have my arms back a little bit and then hold this position for, a couple seconds, at least 1 second. And then from that squatting position, I'm going to jump up along the wall and put my tape up. And what we should see is that I'm able to get my tape higher than just my standing height tape, which I'll also make sure that I show you. But anyway, it should be higher than that, but we'll have to compare it to the second type of jump. So quickly, the second type of jump that I'm going to do is going to demonstrate the stretch shortening cycle. And basically, the stretch shortening cycle is a type of a pre-stretch or a counter movement action that we do in a lot of our movements, including jumping. So this action should allow me to produce more force and to move quicker, which should mean that my piece of tape goes the highest up the wall out of the two types of jumps. So basically what happens is in the first type of jump, when you're just in the squat position, you're basically, when you jump from there, you're coming from a static position. And so this one, which is going to use the stretch shortening cycle, gives me more force and should move me quicker, and I should be able to reach my tape higher. So basically what will happen, there's 3 phases to the stretch shortening cycle, and the first phase is when I'm going to be coming down. So you kind of start on your toes and you come down towards your heels quickly, and that's called the eccentric phase. And in the eccentric phase, that's when my muscles are elongated to this increasingly stretched position. And then basically what happens is that at a certain point when my muscles are stretched the farthest, there's going to be a signal that travels along my nervous system, and it tells my muscles that it's time to contract. And this is a preventative measure to prevent my muscles from overstretching. So this part of the jump, when that, my nervous system says, okay, it's time to switch, you can't stretch anymore, that's called the transition or the amortization phase. And that's when movement is going to stop momentarily so that I can change directions. And there's a lot of tension in this phase that's being created by the stretching of my muscles. So finally, the third part of the jump, that upward movement, is called the concentric phase, and that's when all the tension that's been building should allow me to have a really powerful jump, and I should be able to jump, higher than I've been before. So I think of this basically as a spring. So we move in this fluid motion during the stretch shortening cycle with, from our toes down a little bit towards our heels and then spring up. And it's like compressing a spring and then letting it unleash. And again, it just allows us to produce more force because the muscle has been stretched instead of just moving from a standstill. Okay, so let's go ahead over here. And let me just make sure that I've positioned my camera. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is take my tape. Let me grab a pencil. Okay, the first thing that I'm going to do, just so we can measure and I can show which jump goes the highest, is I need to measure my standing height. So what I'm going to do is put a piece of tape and my middle finger, if I can do this, sorry. Great, you can see it on there, and I'm just going to reach my hand up. I'm not going to overextend my shoulder. I'm just going to reach it up and put it on the wall like that. And then what I'm going to do is, starting at the bottom, tape my tape measure right at the bottom of the wall. And bring it up. So that measures 150 centimeters. Put a line right there. And then what I need to do on my chair is measure from my tape down. So that's right at 48. So 150 centimeters plus 48 is going to be 198 centimeters. So that is my standing height. And then what I'm going to do is the two different jumps that I do, I will measure them. And that's just to give you a visual that in case you can't see it on camera, which jump produces more height. Okay, so first I'm going to start with the jump in which I am in a squatting position. So this is not utilizing the stretch shortening cycle. And we will see how far up I'm able to get. So move my chair. All right, so I'm going to go down into that squat position and hold it for at least a second, and then I'm going to jump up. So as you can see right there, that is my standing height. Okay, so down in a squat, my hands are back, and jump up. Oh, and my tape fell off. Let's try that one more time, sorry. Okay, down in a squat, hold up for a second, arms are back, jump up. There we go. There's my tape, second tape up there. Awesome. And now let's measure the difference so you can see how high that was. So the difference between these two tapes is 21. So I need to do 198 plus 21, which is 219 centimeters, and that is when I'm not using the stretch shortening cycle. All right. So now I'm going to do a jump utilizing the stretch shortening cycle. And what should happen is that there's three phases, like I mentioned. You have the eccentric phase as you're going down from your toes to your heels. This is quickly towards your heels. And then there's the amortization phase, which is that transition phase where it's going to go from eccentric to concentric. We're going to switch directions and movement. And then the concentric phase of the jump, which I should launch up pretty high and get up higher than the tape. So we'll move this back a little bit and hopefully that will help you see. Okay, so in this it's going to be a fluid motion. I'm not going to hold a squat or anything. I'm just going to kind of go down and then up. And let's see which gets the highest. Okay, here we go. Down, up. Yep. And there you go, you can see it up there. That last one, we'll measure it really quick. And we're measuring it in comparison to, here we go, that's at 31. All right, so we can already tell that I got up higher, obviously, but just so you have the math too, 10, 11, 12, that's 229 centimeters, and that is using the stretch shortening cycle. All right, so there you go. That proves that the stretch shortening cycle allows us to jump higher, and I have more force and energy. I don't know if you can see, but it was a quicker motion, so it's pretty cool when you think about all the things your muscles can do. All right, thanks so much, Dr. Rodriguez. I hope this was informative, and I look forward to your feedback. Have a good night.